questions. And as we build this interagency partnership, you know, and this is the sort of thing that they need to hear so that we can address it in the future. So certainly, we appreciate you bringing it up, and I hope that we can continue to answer questions even if we can't get them now. Is there any?
Well, I'd have to.
Is there a response to that, Mr. Cheatham?
To be honest with you, I have not personally dealt directly with KIPTA. I'd have to turn that to my division administrator and his staff, the planning staff, who actually are in charge of the Federal Aid Highway Program in the state of Kentucky, who would probably deal with it, because I deal with the policy side of it and the planning. But I understand the concern. I think I hear there, and it's probably not the first time I've heard that from the citizens, in terms of, depending where you are, there are those types of issues. We could talk in detail to get, figure out what that is. But I hear you, and certainly there's got to be the way to work it out. And if you don't know Jose, he's sitting right over here in about the middle, and we can work.
Great. How are other
I can
federal...
understand your opinion about routing public transit. It's one that's shared by many. And the key to public transit is that it goes where you want it to go, and that it's safe, clean, and reliable. But it's up to the local people to make that happen. It's not something the federal government can dictate. We can provide you funding to help you do that, but it's something that needs to be done locally.
How are other federal agencies?
By the way, there's some people in Atlanta that would rather have a colonoscopy than to ride Atlanta's highways, too. But
how are other federal agencies involved in the transportation decisions that are made here in this community? And how do you interact with the DOT and other transportation and transit authorities to make decisions? We could start possibly with some representatives from HUD. I know this is part of what the interagency partnership is starting to address. And so what are the goals and hopes for that?
One of the things that in community planning and development, and I don't know that it relates particularly to transportation, but that the consolidated planning process that the city of Louisville undertakes every 5 years is an important aspect of community design and investment of resources. While it is designed and is really just the vehicle to access the community development funding that comes to Louisville, the questions and the strategies that are included in that plan are much broader than just the HUD programs. And it is an opportunity for citizens in the Louisville area to address, bring forth their needs, and to identify areas of investment and the strategies that Louisville can undertake. Much of the HUD funding can be used to develop affordable housing along transportation corridors. And I think that it's at least from my perspective, at the federal level right now at HUD, is the best vehicle that can be used for citizens to get input. And I know that the plan is under development now. The 5-year plan is due into our office on May the 15th. And I know that the Louisville Metro officials have been aggressively trying to get input into the needs and the investment and the strategies that should be undertaken to address a broad range of community needs.
Building on to Virginia's point, there's 2 points that I'd like to make too. The first being is HUD is really seriously looking into reforming our consolidated plan. This is a huge, huge effort that we've undertaken with CPD, and this is a very serious effort that we hope will transform the way we do business at HUD. The second point I'd like to make is this morning Krista talked a little bit about the $100 million in regional grants that will be offered to regional communities. There's going to be $40 million in community, what we call community challenge grants. Now, this funding will go out to local communities for specific projects, for let's see, existing projects or new projects. The goal is to enhance coordination between housing and transportation planning, and to encourage MPO. Sounds like you need some MPO reform here in the region here. So there are opportunities for more collaborative efforts at the local level and the regional levels. Sadly, HUD has never really had a transportation component in its policies or programs, but we are working with DOT at the local, regional, state, and federal levels to better coordinate our policies and programs. And in fact, HUD and EPA participated in a review of Tiger Grant programs, parts of several programs of which dealt with building more sustainable and resilient communities by incorporating land use planning, infrastructure planning, reinvestments in their programs. So communities are starting to do this across the country. The federal government needs to step up and help these communities. So we hear you loudly and clearly. We understand your plight. The issue is we can't mandate to you what to do, but we can support you in terms of helping you, and you in turn informing us of what your needs are. So thank you very much.
I'm going to let Mr. Sobel respond to this as well from the EPA, and then we're going to move on to our second livability principle, try to keep on schedule here and keep moving through and get lots of questions in.
Thanks. I just wanted to make 2 points. One, our office has worked with a number of communities like yours in talking about the benefits of transportation and specifically transit-oriented development, and we've worked with a number of organizations such as the Center for Transit-Oriented Development and Reconnecting America and T for America, which all have done in part and parcel different things that may be of interest to you in bringing transportation to your community. Some of those are looking at the market demand for transit-oriented development. Others have been market valuations of properties, residential and commercial, close to transit, and the benefit of transit in bringing higher property values to your locations. Others have been location-efficient work in terms of specifically cost of transportation, in looking at cost of living and cost of housing, and the people who have closer to transit or use public transit have a lower transportation cost, obviously. The other areas that we've looked into with regard to transit obviously would be planning. Tom correctly mentioned, and this is the second point I wanted to get at, that when you look at high-speed rail, you need to go from place to place, places where people want to go, or cities, and I think that's exactly right. And my second point is that transportation has to be looked at systemically, because high-speed rail is really just the top piece. And, you know, I see a lot of people here have selected light rail as a transportation choice for Louisville, and I know somebody here mentioned the streetcars. One of the reasons why light rail works so well in Europe and Asia is because it does go from city to city, but once you get there, the people have other transportation choices which make high-speed rail so useful. So when you get off the train, you can either transfer over to a commuter rail or a local metro or a light rail, and then when you get to the actual neighborhood point you're at, you have choices to take trams, which is what they call trolleys and streetcars, all the way down to flex cars, which is car sharing or bike sharing, or walking or driving locally. So when you look at high-speed rail or light rail, all of these have to be taken into as a systemic approach to public transportation. It's hard to have one without the other and be successful. Thank you.